This is Outbreak Contagious Memories. We're here on Xbox Series X taking a look at this latest entry within this actually decently long-running horror series. So be sure to like the video, and subscribing is great as well. So what are we getting here on the Series X? Well, it is optimized for the platform, but it seems like unlike the definitive editions of the experience, we're not getting like a full 4K resolution. So this instead runs at 1080p, which is quite a bit lower, but since it's dark most of the time, I think that's going to kind of hide that element of gameplay, but I do wish it was more like 4K as the definitive versions are. We do get 60 FPS and a host of other options here. So what's quite neat about this game is if we quit and we go back into the menu here before we start, you get a whole host of options in regards to how you want to adjust the experience. You know, you could do things such as adjusting the frame rate, you know, if you want it to be 60 FPS, you can disable it, VSync, you know, and stuff like that. You can have real-time shadows, you can have shadow distance changed, you can have static reflections. So I disabled static and I turned on real-time reflections very far. Game FOV is high, you can do blood decals, weathering effects. The whole game can be played with co-op, which is kind of cool. And then there's another mode you unlock after you finish the story. And there's modifiers as well. So this one is actually kind of cool, this game, because it gives you all of these different settings. And it seems thus far that the settings I've put together here do look pretty good for what they are, and do actually seem to perform quite well, performance-wise. So this is kind of a throwback, well, 90s styled Resident Evil type game, I guess you would say. We've got a few different camera angles, so this is like the over-the-top one. This is the third-person one. See, I always kind of had issues with these because, you know, basically they didn't run very well, the other games, because this is like another in a very long series of kind of games. But like the third person really wasn't the best, and then, you know, kind of doing the over the shoulder thing or the far distance thing wasn't the best either. But the first person mode actually isn't that bad. Like, I'm a little surprised that I'm actually kind of somewhat enjoying this, because this first person mode is kind of decent. The other ways to play it, you know, you can if you want to go that way, and you know, you might actually prefer a third-person type of experience at times. I certainly like third-person type games, for sure. But no, it's actually kind of an atmospheric zombie survival kind of game, which is quite neat. So it isn't, you know, necessarily like an intensely crazy experience. It feels really, like, it feels painfully slow at times, moving around, if that makes sense. Like, it does, you know, kind of feel like it really takes its time, which, you know, it can be a little boring in that regard when you have to very slowly walk around. And it's got, like, you know, you do some puzzle solving, you find some, you know, kind of secrets and whatnot as you move through it. It's very, like, this one, you know, thus far has been quite a linear setup. Most of them are. They give you, like, some movement and stuff. Like I said, there's, you know, a lot within the series, if that makes sense. Like, they have released a bunch of different entries, so all of the different games kind of play similarly with this style, but they are a little bit different. It's a single, like, one developer makes these games, and in the past I'd always be like, oh, these are, you know, really rough, really not the best, but this one is kind of alright. I actually think there is some improvement here. For sure. Like, I actually do think there is some improvement. So this is a game where you also have to find, like, a typewriter type thing to save, and, you know, it's very much a throwback experience. I'm actually poisoned. Wow, I should have, I guess, saved the poisoned plant I threw away a long time ago. But yeah, it's actually kind of alright if you can handle something that is a lot slower paced, something that is more of a throwback sort of zombie kind of game. It's actually kind of decent. And you know, you get all these choices, like if you're finding the performance is sort of dragging and whatnot, you can adjust all of these different settings that will allow you to be like, hey, I want to, you know, turn off maybe the real-time reflections or lower how far they are, or maybe you want to turn on like the shadowing and stuff. Like it's kind of dark, so I guess shadows would help a lot too, but you know, you want to kind of, for me, keep the performance and stuff as good as possible, and I find that reflections add a lot to the experience. But yeah, you're just kind of going around, mowing down the zombies, taking on the zombie threat, trying to survive, dealing with the different puzzles that pop up. The puzzles aren't anything too crazy, but you know, you might have to sit there for a second and be like, huh, what is this asking of me? There are little memo notes that you can find along the way. So, like, there is, like I was saying, quite a bit to this. Like, it's got some dimension to it. You've got, like, a little map that you can use to kind of be like, hey, you know, where am I going? What am I doing? So, you know, it does offer... Am I dying slowly because of the poison stuff? You know, I do find this to be an alright experience, I would say. Again, I'm not blown away by it, right? Like, that's the biggest thing. Is I'm not like, wow, oh wow, but I'm kind of like, huh, this is actually kind of serviceable. You might find this to be a fun little kind of game to play, and I think that is, you know, a good props to the developers' kind of progress on this thing. Like, you know, that over-the-top kind of thing, you know, it definitely looks really, really throwback, and third person is kind of like, Urgh. But, you know, it loads decently fast. It looks decently okay in the first-person perspective. Ah, there we got some achievement. And the achievements aren't too hardcore, and if you finish, you know, the main story, and you get that extra mode, that's kind of nice. And like I was saying, you can kind of look at each of the individual games that have released within this, like, series of games, and you'll be really surprised just by, I guess you would say, the different types. Like, they're different sorts of games, and I think that's kind of intriguing. Oh, and there's, like, some comically large,
No way in hell.
I guess you would say, like, weapons. Like, you pick up the weapons, and they're kind of, like, funny looking and how big they are. How do we get... oh, and you can have, like, a knife, too. How do we get into that area? Sorry, I'm not really, like, listening to this thing. Pull up the map. Oh, we gotta go... Is it this way in the map thing? Huh. And you can, like, push stuff, too, as you try to problem solve. I mean, it does seem like, very logically, this is the exit, because it's literally called the exit.
No way in hell. I'm never going back into that warehouse.
Oh no, never mind. and the dialogue is quite cheesy, I guess you would say, but it's kind of done like that on purpose. Wow, that person is like split in half here. That's kind of crazy. I'm just trying to figure out what exactly this wants me to do, because you can like push things and stuff. Oh yeah, we are pushing this police car very awkwardly. But also, like I was saying, you can do this in like local co-op, which is kind of cool if you'd like to do that. And this one focuses on, like, I think it's Lydia is the main character on this one. Like, there's a few different characters that they have, and you actually get like straight up first-person perspective, which is, you know, with the body and everything. And I gotta say that in itself is impressive. So that's my first death. I should be getting an achievement, I think. Lydia, no. And even like the cinematics and stuff are kind of jokey too. Oh, we're gonna have to go way back because it didn't give us any checkpoints, did it? Because you actually have to, like, manually save. I died. Yes, I did. Like some Dark Souls type stuff. See, like, I'm all the way back here, and you'd have to, like... So that's a grueling part of this, is you literally... You know, you have to do these long segments, and if you die, you gotta, like, restart way back. Because obviously, we're literally at the beginning of where we were, like, 10 minutes ago almost, which is crazy. But that's, you know, kind of what the game is. I'm trying to present it and showcase it so you can get an idea of what... I wonder if you just, like, walk away here. Just to get an idea of what it offers gameplay-wise, the style of it, what the game is like. You know, again, it's not going to be for everyone, but I think the biggest thing here is saying, hey, this is actually kind of, like, playable. You know, because that is something that I had issues with the previous releases, was kind of like, wow, performance wasn't great, there were issues. I think there's some definitive versions, oh wow, I died again. There's some like definitive versions out there for the other games that exist that actually do, well, again, I think I've only checked out one of them. I can't quite recall if I had checked out more that were definitive, but, you know, the games themselves I don't think are like the best, but I do feel that this one is definitely a movement in the right direction. And I get that they're doing like the old school style of horror type things, but it's also kind of like, it would be nice to also get some more, you know, kind of sensible upgrades, such as, you know, maybe some checkpoints that are a bit more modern, maybe enemies that don't take like 3 billion bullets to kill. But you know, that is, I guess, part of, I don't know if this, the charm would be the right way to just put it, but that is the type of game that they're putting together here. And in the past, I'd sit here and I'd just be like, oh, well, this is, you know, these games are kind of like just terrible. And this one isn't like, again, a mind-blowingly great experience. But it's kind of the most playable of the series that I've seen thus far. I don't know if that's saying much, but I'm kind of like, huh, this isn't necessarily that bad, and it doesn't really look that bad looking either. I mean, most of it we're kind of experiencing from very dark perspectives, right? Like, it is dark everywhere. Do we have on the map, like, is there anywhere with, like, health and stuff? No, okay, we gotta just keep going here. But yeah, they have a good sense of, like, usage of space, I would say. You know, you actually do kind of move through some different environments, and you gotta be smart about it, since your health does not stay that well. And you can't, like, you can't move while you shoot, if that makes sense. Like, you literally have to kind of, like, reposition yourself. Which can make it extremely hard to deal with. And then there's the menus are still kind of cumbersome as ever, if that makes sense. Like, if you've played, you know, the other games in the series, you should know exactly what you're getting into if you've played the other ones. It's essentially the same game, but it just kind of runs now, like, decently compared to the past, and you know, it just seems kind of improved. And I like that you could switch between the perspectives. I'm just kind of thinking if that was a thing in the other games. I remember always being locked in this, like, third person or, like, the over-the-top thing, depending on the game, and it was just kind of like, oof. Yeah, I think there's health in that other room, but I don't really want to deal with it. Where's that zombie sound coming from? I mean, we literally just did this. We should know where all the zombies are. They eat so many bullets. That's the problem, you know, you kind of like, and you walk so freaking slow, which makes it very hard to deal with. Oh, oh. That also makes it very, like, kind of frustrating, and you're kind of like, I don't know if I want to play more of this. But it is, if you're wanting this particular detail, like, you know, you're wanting this style of game, it is definitely, like, really, really classic Resident Evil type gameplay. But I think you might find it to be not the most exciting thing in the world. That's the biggest thing, is it can be really slow, and it can be kind of like, oh, I'm dying and I have to redo this over and over again. Like, that aspect to me is kind of like not the best part. But I think if you play this in first person, it's actually decently kind of immersive and perhaps even a little bit of fun at times. But yeah, it is kind of frustrating sitting here this whole time and being like, you know, just dying and having to redo these segments. Because it's just as slow as the biggest thing. And I think that's a pacing thing for, like, the design of the game. And it's just like the zombies are supposed to be really, like, meaty and stuff, and yeah, and they definitely take a lot of headshot. Like, I'm literally just, like, pumping shots into these zombies' heads, and they're just like, nope. Ain't got nothing, but, you know, they handle the gore pretty well and stuff, too, in this one. Like, decent ambience, alright visuals, okay music and stuff. I'm seeing improvements. You know, would I like it to be a little bit more easier going? Sure, but I am seeing improvements. Here's the options. You can also change, like, your dead zone and stuff. And there's different modern control options there that you can adjust to. You can see the controls here as well. Oh yeah, the photo mode. I forgot about the photo mode. So if you want to, like, take an atmospheric photo, you can see those dead eyes. Oh, there's actually, like, little reflections on her eyeballs. That's kind of, like, interesting. I don't think it's reflecting the world, but they actually, you know, the eyes kind of... I don't think this character model's really changed between the games, from what I understand, but, you know, it is kind of... It's a nice touch having a photo mode. Kind of almost want to go and play all the definitive releases. If that makes sense. I'm kind of just intrigued about those ones and see how much of an improvement they are. I remember, like, almost being interested in checking out the definitives, and then I think I just never ended up doing that. Yeah, I think we need to... I'm a caution. Maybe we should go and get, like, the health thing in this room. I thought there was a zombie in here last time. See, that's the thing, is it's just like, it's so slow to get places. It just really takes its time. Like, very... it's just... But then again, I guess if you had a sprint button, you would kind of, like... You'd move through the game too fast. At least I don't think there's a sprint button, not one that I could see. Did I shoot her hair off? No, her hair's still there. But yeah, it's okay. Frustrating, perhaps, at times, but it's alright. Did I just insta-kill that guy? Must have been a luck of the draw kind of thing. Am I in caution? I'm in warning? But I literally just ate that plant. And you can combine plants too. Like, it's literally a throwback. Resident Evil, right? Like, if you played the older Resident Evils, like, this feels exactly like that aspect of it. Here we go. Loading back on the outside. Can't remember, was there an enemy out here? No, we're good. Okay. Well, I mean, there obviously are enemies out here. Move the police car very slowly. Is that a pretzel or a pretzel station? Oh, the Costco hot dog. It's the hot dog I'm after. It's nice to have it actually running with, like, you know, not terrible performance. Because, like I said, if you play those other ones, it was quite something. And, you know, I get it's kind of a single dev, which makes it kind of interesting. Yeah. You definitely tell they're a fan of the old school Resident Evils, that's for sure. Oh, we actually had to look at a combination code. That's the worst. Because then we have to walk back somewhere to get it. Okay, the last number what? What was that about the last number? Last number is by the door. Unbelievable. You know, we're trying to survive out here, and you're making it just a little bit hard. I forgot what actually the number is. 2514. Okay. 2514. We got this. That is... What is going on with that wall? Why does it look like that? 2514.